Okay, so good afternoon to all IEM and UEM family members. And as you can see, the topic for today is English for science students. So I was talking to Professor Neha Meena. She is from the Department of Basic Science and Humanities at the University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur. I was talking to her saying that most of our students are from science background. If you leave out a part of BBA, a part of BCA, a very small part of BCA and a part of BBA or a part of MBA. Then BTech, if you talk about other streams, if you talk about MTech, all MCA, BCA, everything we have got from science students. So it should be good. It should be a good topic for all of us if we can focus. I'm sure Professor Neha Meena will show some ways for the teachers to incorporate English, especially for the science students. So you may take over from here, Professor Neha. Uh, we are all eagerly waiting for this.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to all IEM UEM family. I hope I'm audible and visible, sir.
Your voice is a little low. I think you need to just increase your voice a little bit.
Okay. Okay, sir. Is it all right now?
It is all right. You can speak a little louder. Things will be fine. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay. So I would like to thank our Chancellor, sir, Vice Chancellor, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, Dean, sir, and Registrar, sir, for giving me this opportunity to be able to talk to you in this afternoon. And I was not quite sure about what topics to choose. I have asked a few of my colleagues, my friends at the university, and they all suggested different criteria where they feel that the students lag behind in English, or where they feel that English plays a significant role in their particular subject, in their particular teaching. But just to come up with a topic which could have sufficed all the needs was very difficult. So I chose a broader topic, that is English for science studies. Now, as we all are familiar with the term, the language scholars like me are familiar with the term ESP, that is English for specific purposes. English for science studies or English for technical education has been under the umbrella of ESP, that is English for specific purposes, and it has been focused not only in India but all over the world, because you see science is developing, technical institutes are increasing in number, and students tend to divert or tend to move towards technical institutes more in comparison to other streams. So the major challenge is that what should be the language, what should be the medium in which they can communicate with the other people of the same caliber. Students from India who are excelling in their degrees, who have done their BTech and MTech with flourishing marks and everything, how can they talk and motivate and inspire other people from other countries? There might be a possibility that an Indian science scholar is, in terms of knowledge, has higher knowledge in comparison to someone who is living in America. It is possible. But the issue comes when the person is unable to communicate in a proper manner. The desired thoughts and the desired outcomes of a conversation are not achieved. Then a person lags behind. So let's just focus on a few points regarding English, how it has been developed. Then we'll come back to this particular issue, what we as teachers face in teaching our core subjects of engineering and other degrees. When we are teaching our core subjects, we face the difficulty with the language. So how to overcome these things, we'll come back to it later. First, let's understand, or let's go back to the history of English language. So the slide is not okay. It is. Is it visible, sir?
visible, but madam, I don't know why your voice is still on the lower side. It is not bad, but it is on the lower side. I think you can kindly hold your microphone with your hand and bring it. Yes, yes, yes. I think if you can do it, it will be better.
Sorry for the glitches, everyone. Okay, so English, how it has been through time, how English has been developed. Let's talk about it. So English has evolved through times, and for an English scholar or for a literature scholar, it is very obvious to understand and learn about literature and the history of English literature, the history of English language. We have learned that there were many phases of English, like Anglo-Saxon, the English at the time of Chaucer, and then at the time of Shakespeare, and at the time of Queen Victoria. So all the phases are being taught to a literature student. But what about when a person needs to learn the language? What should they know about the history of the language? It's just that as all the other languages, like Hindi has evolved, or Bengali has evolved, or Malayalam has evolved, or Telugu has evolved. Similarly, English has evolved. So English is a part of our world today. You can see two-thirds of the globe is able to speak English, and it has evolved through time, and it keeps on changing every day. Every hour, there is one or two words, on average, two words are added to a dictionary every hour. That is. So in a year, you can imagine how many words are added to a dictionary, and it is totally impossible for a human mind to memorize these words and to understand the meanings of these words, to use them to make usage of it in day-to-day life. The evaluation of English language was at its best when Britishers colonized our country. When they came to India in 17th century, and then they kind of took over in 18th century. So when they took over, English was at its best. The grammar rules or the pronunciation or the vocabulary was everything. But the scientists play a major role in the vocabulary of English too. If, for example, a person develops an app today, as Mark Zuckerberg has developed an app, Facebook. So when in the first decade of 21st century, when he developed the app, the word unfriend was not there until he introduced it to us. And for major authorities of language, linguists, it was a matter of shame for them. That how can someone make a word like unfriend? And it was a huge debate in the language community. But now, today, we are using it and we use it in many sentences. Unfriending is a verb today. We are using it as a verb, and nothing has changed. We are using it as a part of English language. We are not aware of how what was the fluid about it, what were the outcomes, how was it accepted or was it not accepted, and even then accepted, because internet is provided to all, and not everyone is a linguist, and not everyone is concerned with what kind of word should be used. So it is totally changing with the help of science. Language is changing with the help of science. Now, in today's world, in this is actually a research which was being done in 2006, and it says that about there are 50 million of speakers are there in the world who are native speakers of English language, and 900 million foreign speakers like us Indians are there. But let me tell you one thing: there are no there is no such thing left in India that treating English as a foreign language. That the term is given EFL for English as a foreign language in language teaching. So EFL is no more there in our country because English has become our second language. Sir, again, PPT has stuck. I don't know how. Actually, it was functioning.
You can just click on the PPT and then click on the next slide. Yes, it's fine.
Yes, sir. So, as I was saying, that EFL is the term just for other countries now, not for India. We are not treating English as a foreign language today. We are treating it as a second language. As we were talking, sir, as we were discussing, that sir was asking me how English cannot be a first language for an Indian student. For an Indian person, we have a language that is being taught by childhood. So when it comes to language learning, it's not when we enroll in a school and then we'll go for language learning. It's not like that. The toddler from age of 1 year to approximately 4 years gains many words that he will speak throughout his life. They comprehend, the toddlers, they comprehend the language and they try to learn it. But it should be something which is spoken in the household. And this process of teaching, when you are telling a toddler that say this, say mama, say papa, when you are asking a toddler to say all these words, it doesn't mean that you are teaching the toddler the language. He or she is trying to comprehend what you are saying, how you are moving your lips, how you are making the sound. If you are saying oh, you are making your lips round, and the toddler will first try to imitate your mouth, not the voice, but the mouth. And when the toddler does that and tries to push something from his or her throat or lungs, then they are able to make a sound. And then they realize that I can make a sound like the other person. And this is how they begin to learn their first language. Their first language can be sign language also, as many languages are there in the world. Similarly, sign languages vary from country to country and from a particular area to area. As speaking of dialects, it changes from 50 kilometers. In every 50 kilometers, wherever you are moving, you will see a change in the dialect, which is known as Boli. Language is Bhasha. It is known as Bhasha in Hindi language, but dialect is Boli, which is a type of a certain language. For example, English can have varieties of English in England itself. It has about 60 varieties, if I'm not wrong. I've just researched that it has 60 varieties in United Kingdom. So there also they have different dialects for English. Accent, dialect, and language. These are all three different things. We all know that. But just to emphasize on the first language of a toddler, I would like to say that it might or might not be the words. It might be some signs that you are teaching knowingly or unknowingly. You might not be aware, but the toddler might have been getting those kind of, might be catching all the words, all the signs that you are giving to them. So English as a language of a contemporary world, we say all the time that English is a global language today because all most of the countries, the 2/3 of the world was colonized by Britishers, and therefore they left their footprints. But it is more than that. It can be more than that. Just like the language, just like English, Britishers have left many things behind, like the culture. We can see the culture in our ancient buildings. We can see the buildings that were built in 19th century or 20th century, or in a post-colonial world. We can see that there is English architecture in the buildings. So, like that, they have left footprints in our way of living. English is now a feature. It has become something of your which would provide someone to possess a quality of being from the higher class, or to show off their qualities that guy possess a higher stature in the community. So all this is a footprint of Britishers, the colonized world. But there are few more points that we need to understand behind this whole English being a global language, is that the most important factor that made English in the post-colonial world, it made English as a global language, is not because of just Britishers, but because of Americans too. So America, after Second World War, it became the greatest economy. Every other country like us, China, everyone was facing difficulties in coming out from that kind of shock, what they have gone through in the colonized world. So after that happened, that there was First World War, then there was Second World War, and America was not taken back by any of these things. It was still building companies, MNCs, and is still an economy that we try to make as an ideal for ourselves. If we are trying to start up a new business, or if we are trying to join MNC, for example, if we are going just for a job, we'll see where the branches are. And few countries are there in our mind that these countries are developed. We see them as the developed countries, and we do not put a question mark on that. So that is the most important feature which made English a global language. And after that, you can see, being a science scholar, you all know that how IT sector or internet or devices or digitalization has provided a platform which was only and only in English. The mode of communication, even the codes in your IT applications are in English. So therefore, it has become a global language, and we have not us in India or not any other country, we have never argued with that. We were so busy in developing our country, in moving forward, that we never paid that kind of focus on that. We are still using the language English. Of course, it's good if the whole world speaks only one language. It will be purely something like utopia, where everyone can understand everyone. If we are all speaking one language, it's good, but it's something which might have affected our culture. it it's something that we can think and we can ponder upon. So English has become the language of contemporary world. Now, what are the necessities that are still pushing us towards the language, towards English? You have to learn English. If you want to excel, you have to learn English. Most of the times when I enter a classroom, I do not see students taking English seriously because it's not their core subject. And I do not blame them, because for a science student, there is too much on their plate. So it's not anything that we can just force upon them. But I make them understand that this is important. Once you are done with your degree, if you are going for a placement, if you're going for a job, you need English, you need the language to communicate with other people, to speak out your thoughts and give your best in anything. You have to learn the language. Then only you can excel in the world. And that is the bitter truth. If you are excelling in your core subjects, if you are doing well in your core subjects, it's fine. But if you are not learning the language meanwhile, or if you are ignoring the language in meanwhile, then it might be problematic for you, because you cannot communicate without a language. You need a language. And English being the most spoken languages in the world, you need to learn it. Of course, if a person is going to China or Japan or to Turkey, for example, they have to learn those languages too. But English might help them. The basics will help them to move across the world swiftly with their own, providing their own services. They can excel in their field, and English will be a true support. So I just make these points, and I think it works for the students too. They can focus after listening to all this lecture. So because we need to communicate, because there is so much business and marketing out there. If you are going to buy something, you need to understand the price, the tagline, how to wash a thing. Everything is written in English. Even on the products such as our masalas or the spices, the daily spices that we are using. Even on these, everything is written on English. And it is not possible for every Indian housewife or every Indian cook to understand that English. But what to do? Every instruction is given in English, and it again and again makes us think that how important it is. For us teachers, it is easy to move forward with our English, whatever we have learned through our college, through our school days, and we can use that in teaching. But it is difficult for a student if they are not focusing. So that is a point to be noted, that if your student is excelling in your subject, make sure that they have enough knowledge of English with them so that they are never lag behind in any kind of competition they appear after they leave your college, after they are done with a degree. They should have the support of English. So are there any family members who would like to add any other points to the needs of English in our technical education, or general needs of English language in today's world? We can focus just on English for education, but any general ideas?
So she is expecting some answers in the question box. If you can write any other point that is that you think why English is so important to us, why students should learn English. Some points, if you can write in the questions box. That is her expectation. So let us wait for 1 minute maybe for some answers to come to the questions box. I don't see any answers, madam. Okay.
Okay.
So there are
Okay, sir.
few. There are two. Professor Animesh Kairi. Animesh Kairi writes communication. Mitali Sengupta madam writes English is a global language. Okay, so there are few more. Dr. Vivekanand Rao is writing to cope with the globe. Okay. Shantanu Ghosh is writing English keeps the world intact. Dr. Rahul Sharma writes global language. Srima Nandi madam writes, just a minute, too many answers. Okay, so just trying to go to the Srimanandi madam writes English has become a part and parcel in our lives. Kostav Mondol writes, Professor Kostav Mondol, he writes, so that we can communicate with the people who does not speak our languages. Global scientific languages written by Anubhav Roy. Communication written by Setadri Ghosh. Neha Bhattacharya madam writes expression. The global affirmation of English as a language, writes Shobhik Roy. Professor Harshvardhan Singh writes, for communicating their thought, their expression, communication is also answered by Siddhartha Sengupta. Shubhabrata Sengupta writes, students need to know the English for universal communication. This is need of the hour. Fine. Amit Nandi sir writes, communication, English is globally accepted language, says Dr. Shomadipta Paul. Ankan Bhomik sir writes, it's a universal language for all businesses. English is a global language, writes Shoikat Chakraborty sir. To go global, Ruma Rai Chaudhary, Dr. Vivekanand Rao writes again, because world is flat now. Okay. Language for global communication, says Sandeep Roy Chaudhary. Easy to learn, says Arijit Sarkar. In Europe, some countries also use French. English is just like oxygen, right? So Vijit Kaur Gupta. Okay. Arun Kumar Chatterjee sir writes, I would like to talk. Okay, sir, I will just unmute you a little. Just give me 2-3 minutes. Very true, madam. English is highly emphasized in all walks of life and is also a great equalizer, writes Sandeep Sodhi, sir. Shaugato Ghosh writes English is global language. English is a must today as citizenship to a particular country is only there on pen and paper, but everyone is global citizen these days. That is why we need to master this language. Very nicely written by Professor Abhishekta Bhattacharjee. Global language, says Sanjay Mandal sir. So it is a language of harmonization, connecting nations. Shobik Roy sir says. Dr. Udit Chawla writes, English communication is one of the parameters for success. The language of unification, writes Piali Mukherjee madam. Communication can be done easily, says Gautam Paul sir. Communication, writes Arindam Banerjee sir. It is a global language, says Shomik Karmakar sir. Ratna Mandal madam says globally accepted. Global language, says Arnab Basu. Arnab Ghosh, Dr. Arnab Ghosh writes, global scientific language is required to understand science better. Okay, interesting. That is interesting by Dr. Arnab Ghosh. It is required to understand science better. Okay, effective mode of global communication, writes Dr. Shobhan Saha. Kaustav Bhattacharya writes, for communicating with others, particularly in a multilingual country like India. English is a global language, writes Madhusudan Vaidya. Subhashish Rana sir writes, for global communication. Rajat Pathak sir writes, it's the most flexible language. Devjyoti Das sir writes, especially in a country like India, English is essential. Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma sir writes, English is a way to connect with maximum number of persons globally and to receive the extreme opportunities available. Provide global platform for communication, writes Siddhartha Datta. So interesting answer from Professor Pradeep Sharma, also from Professor Siddhartha Datta. Effective global language, says Pallavi Pramanik. Sanjay Bhadra sir writes, it's a need of the day. English is a local, national, global, and therefore a local language. Very nicely writes Srimanandi madam. Somnath Hajra sir writes, only language truly integrated the whole world. So that's, I have read out all the answers that were there in the question box. I believe I did not leave any. Oh, Pothik Dev Mallik sir adds, the language that enables us to learn from international authors and scientists. And Dr. Lalima Mukherjee madam adds, students should be involved and encourage more for learning communication. Gives one an additional confidence, says Shourav Banerjee. Okay, so these are the answers, madam. You may kindly give your opinion and proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your valuable outputs. I think we all agree on this point that English is a global language, and as Sir has said, that it is kind of oxygen. It has become something which is just like our, a part of our body. It has to be carried with us. Our brain should have enough knowledge of English in order to move through the world. So that's very nicely put by all of you. Now, when we have this understanding of English being significant for us, it is, of course, significant that we treat it as important as other subjects in education. We in our institution, we in our group of institutions, we are doing it very well. We are focusing on it. But I can speak particularly for all the three institutions, IEM, UMK, and UMJ, that we are doing our bit. We are conducting conferences, conducting talks, and we are trying to develop that kind of scenario that we are focusing on English as much as on the other core subjects. And soon in UMJ, we are going to begin with Cambridge assessment course also. So that would be one plus point for the institution also, and for the language development. We have clubs in all the three institutions. So just like we have Toastmasters in UMJ. So all these activities that we are doing should be student oriented more, because I think that the kind of admissions that we get, many of the students are from state board also. So if 50% of them are from English medium schools, 50% of them might have done their schooling from a state board, and the medium might not be English. So there, and this has been a confrontation that I've experienced in my past 1 year experience with UMJ, that students confront this. Many students, they confront this, that I do not know English. How should I improve it? So we'll come to that. First, let us understand how English and education should be carried out. So after understanding the importance of English globally, it becomes very clear that it is vital for education. Every discipline, every particular subject, every stream, it needs a language in order to be taught to students, in order to make it learnable, so that students can comprehend it. So it will always and always have a language. It doesn't have to be just English, but because English has to be put on the highlighted side of our education, it should be English. It must not be, but it should be. It is suggested by many people that if you begin from the very first standard of a student or of a learner's education, if it begins in the English medium mode, then they will be easily comprehending the other subjects, the other subject books, the other subject papers, and everything in a better manner. Because most of the books today are being written in English. If we are typing, if we are chatting, if we are commenting, if we are tweeting, we are always and always writing in English. We try to do that. We tend towards it because we think that it might come out very impressive, and it will be something that people will focus on. So even in the interviews of a Bollywood actor, you will see that they are speaking in English, and therefore it becomes very important that the education system should imbibe this. As I pointed out, that we are doing it, we are doing it very well in our institutions, but as far as technical education is concerned, there is a lot to do. There is a lot to do. A recent research paper written by a faculty from Hyderabad, IFLU Hyderabad, he has written a paper for EST, that is English for Science and Technology. And in that particular paper, he emphasizes that the teachers of language, the teachers who are teaching language, English language, in technical institutions are not given that kind of focus that they need to, because you have to work on the FDPs, the kind of programs which will enable them, which will give them tools and qualities to move forward with the language education for a technical student. You see, a technical student, we all know, does not have enough time with them to give that amount of particular time from a day or from a week just to learn a language. They don't have that kind of time. They have too much in their syllabus, on their plate. They have so many things that they cannot cope up by learning any particular language to achieve the fluency, to achieve the excellence in that language. So therefore, a language teacher is different. A language teacher who is teaching in a technical institute is different from the one in other institutes, because for a language teacher in technical institutes, it becomes a challenge to teach the students, because there again comes a point that they either they are doing it deliberately or unconsciously, but this happens that the student is unable to focus just on language class, and the amount of focus it measured is just half of the other core subjects. So it is very difficult, but just to imbibe, and therefore it should be imbibed with the other core subjects also. Therefore, I'm referring to it as education. So you can never ignore a language and learn anything. You can talk about any subject, and you will have to require a language in order to teach that subject. And as for today's world, as far as we are concerned with today's world, the contemporary world, we have to make our students be communicative, competent for the world. Once they are out in the world, once they are out of your institution, they have the degree with them. They must have those qualities to communicate in a competent manner, to be out there, to give their best thoughts in a best possible manner with the help of language. Only language will help them. In that particular scenario, nothing else can take them forward. Only language will help them. The purpose of any education is to make a learner better acquainted with the knowledge, with the all the kind of concept that you are teaching, all the topics that you are teaching. It should all come together and make him have that knowledge that he can move forward in the world. And with this, he must have the weapon of English language with him. The student should have this weapon of English language with him. So, how technical institutes see English language, how they see English language, how English is seen in a technical institute. As I've mentioned, the IFLU paper by a professor, uh, how he has portrayed, he has, I just share the link at the end of the paper. It's a Scopus paper. It's a very nicely put and very keenly observed paper in which he has researched on scholars also, on students of UGPG also, and the faculty. So it's beneficial for all. Now, how we see that technical education is treating English is that they are treating it as a tool, as a skill. It is always a skill in a technical institute. It is not more than that. But because it's a skill, it is very important for a student to have, to possess it, to have it in his or her personality. So communication skills are the type of skill that we see in our institutions. Personality development, again, we need English. There any coaching institutes, grooming classes, or if there is any subject in our institution for personality development, there you'll always see that at some point or another, English has been given the most focus. So again, professional skills are the same. Then soft skills. So all these skills, they seem a bit similar because all of them have one thing in common, that is English. So can you point out any other ways in which we are treating English in our technical education system? How we are treating English in our technical education system? I have told you that it is a skill, it is a tool for us in technical education.
Okay, so again, you are expecting some answers in the question box. The
Yes.
question this time is, can you point out any other ways in which we are treating English in technical education? At the end of the last question, I forgot to unmute Professor Arun Kumar Chatterjee, wanted to talk. So at the end of this, I will not forget that. I will unmute sir so that you can answer both questions in the way, like the first question was why English is important, and the second question now that is posted is, can you point out any other ways in which we are treating English in technical education? So the answers are again expected in the question box. If you can write down any other way in which we are treating English in technical education. So Professor Shumon Shorkar writes, Madam, now IIT and engineering, just a minute. IIT and engineering colleges offering courses in vernacular languages also. Already IIT BHU has started offering. And also he has written your views. Okay, definitely he will put forward, she will put forward her views also. Madam Shrima Nandi has written a big answer. Just let me read it out very quickly. In most engineering colleges, the core subjects are given more emphasis than English. Engineering colleges focus on the engineering labs, but there are hardly any language laboratories set up. No, we have our language laboratories and many colleges do have. Anyway, only few colleges have set up language laboratories. Don't you think that English here is neglected? Don't you think engineering colleges also should give focus to the setting up of language labs? Yes, it should. According to me, it should. I will go back to madam. But for me, it should. And we have set up
Yes.
English language laboratory in all our
Yes, we
institutes.
have English lab in our institutes. So
And
I
in fact, in IEM, we have different buildings, in 3 buildings, and all the 3 different campuses, we have separate English language laboratory. Professor
yes,
Shubhashish Rana says presentation at global platform. Professor Kaustav Mondol writes soft skills and technical report writing. Rajat Pathak sir writes verbal language has become a launch pad for getting jobs. Professor Indranil Basu sir writes today most technical books and journals globally are in English. So to keep up with the global developments in science and technologies also is English is essential. Fine. Professor Shubhabrata Sengupta has written, beside technical education, English should be nurtured from the very first. Frequent group discussions, mock interviews, public speaking will help the students' communication power. This practice is very much needed. Very nicely put forward by Professor Shubhabrata Sengupta. In fact, he is a very, what should I say? Is extremely acquainted with placements, with the placement cell. So he knows the importance very well, and that is what he has put forward. Professor Sandeep Kumar Chaudhary writes, our medium of instruction in class is English everywhere. Special GD class communication skill improvement are used widely. Yes, you're right, Professor Sandeep. Dr. Vivekanand Rao sir writes, cultural transformation is also there. Okay. Professor Arun Kumar Chatterjee sir writes, aim assimilation and comprehension of technical knowledge. Okay, Professor Arunabha Dalal, interaction with others and presentations for internal and external customers. Dr. Shobhan Shah writes, group discussion and debates. Okay, Professor Abhijit Kaur-Gupta writes, in every stream it can be adapted as general subject and there should be technical skill development in easy step-by-step usable form. Okay, so a good brainstorming going on over here. Professor Orko Mukhopadhyay writes, proper command in English gives the students an edge in interviews. Okay, Professor Saurav difficult to teach English at upper level because it has more exceptions than rules like German or French. So it should be taught in the manner of practiced reading and sticking rather than teaching them grammar. Fine. So as I said, very good brainstorming going on over here, and your opinions are very important. Professor Ruma Roy Chaudhary writes, English should be used more verbally in order to improve communication skill. More presentations should be arranged. Okay. Professor Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma writes, English in Technical Institute actually is a way to improve upon students' capabilities for group discussion, interpersonal communication, and to most important is communication to all team members in proper manner, as these are much needed qualifications in addition to the technical knowledge. I think, Professor Sharma, you hit the nail on its head when you said that it is needed to improve students' capabilities for group discussion. These things are needed for getting a good job also. So we cannot avoid the fact that for getting a good job in engineering also, a good English language speaking, a good spoken English is needed. We cannot avoid. So Gautam Paul sir writes, it is good for engineering design also. Yes. Pallavi Pramanik madam writes, the scientific ideas can be made more impactful upon use of proper words. Knowledge of English helps in expression of the technical know-how amongst global audience, writes Professor Mitali Sengupta. The problem in India is most of the vernacular medium schools do not allow or do not follow the proper language acquisition process, which is LSRW. Rather, most of them follow RWLS. Speaking skill, which must be acquired first, happens to be nurtured when a child's, just a minute, when a child's language acquisition period is already over. That is how most of them face tremendous difficulty with the speaking skills. Okay, so that's a nice description by Professor Avishikta Bhattacharya. Madam may kindly focus on that a little bit after this. English subject should be spread amongst everyone from beginning to end, from nursery to higher education, says Shaugato Ghosh sir. Tina De madam writes, encouraging scientific communication. Dr. Rahul Sharma sir writes, to bring in the uniformity in command, instructions and procedure. English is used as a language in coding, maybe due to its universal acceptance, right? Professor Siddhartha Das Datta. Professor Shaugato Ghosh writes, English subject should be spread amongst everyone. Okay, that is what you had written a while back. Abhishek Haldar sir writes, in language lab classes, special focus should be on students who are not coming from English medium schools. Most of the time they try to hide from others who are good in English. Yes, that is a very valid point also. When you don't know English, those students who cannot speak English good, they try to hide in the classes, sit in the last bench, and tend to lose their focus from the technical topics also, because those are being taught in English, and they are afraid that the teacher might ask me questions. So they try to hide themselves because they are not afraid of the technical knowledge, they're afraid of speaking English. Just having some computers and a GD table in a class does not mean that a college has set up a language lab. It should be equipped with some software and phonetics with audio and videos for language learning, right? Okay, Professor Srima Nandi writes that. So I think you should also suggest some software so that we can also acquire if we are not having. We are having many software though. English is used to communicate in different technical seminars or webinars all over the globe, says Professor Sumit Paul. Proper grooming of English required from the first day of entry in college. This shall help in placement later. Dr. Udit Chawla writes that. So these are the answers in the questions box. Madam, you may take over from here.
Okay, sir.
Before that, I will just a minute. I will unmute Professor Arun Kumar Chatterjee. He wanted
Yes,
to say something. Let me very quickly find him. Just a minute, please. Okay, so I
okay,
got him.
so
I have unmuted Professor Arun Kumar Chatterjee. Sir, you are unmuted from my end. You may speak.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, good evening, madam. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for giving me this chance to talk. I was trying to say at that point of time that, English, as far as India is concerned, is more of a legacy than a compulsion. We were colonized by the British for 250 years. When they left in 1947, they left behind English in India. Prior to that, we had Sanskrit, which we have managed to forget. The next point I want to make is it's very important to understand that where do you start? If you start learning a language, one professor did make a comment on this. If you start learning a language from an early stage, then you are likely to acquire the skills of communication in that language very fast, and the roots will be, very deep. Personally, I give you an example. First 7 years in my life, I did not know English at all. I was born in Assam. Even today, I can speak, understand, and write Assamese. Then, when I started school in an English medium school, I was absolutely in a sea and I could not swim because everybody around me was talking English. If you go to France, for example, you will find a tremendous apathy for English. I discovered this in the very hard way. My first visit to France was very miserable. I was told by a Frenchman, I asked him a question about the metro railway station nearest to that spot, and he said, well, if you talk to me in this language, sorry, I can't answer you. I don't understand this language. And I was really flummoxed. In France, in Germany, they can carry out their entire technical education without any reference to English. I think, if I'm not wrong, about 50 to 60% people in Canada speak French. I stand to correction. These are certain points I wanted to make, but I still emphasize that it needs a tremendous amount of hard efforts, in fact, to understand this language, which is so rich, like Bangla, like Hindi. I have asked many students if they know what a thesaurus is, and surprisingly, most of them have said no. Thank you very much for the chance. Please carry on.
thank you so much for your valuable thoughts, sir. I'm very glad that you brought out the word legacy for English because most of the time it brings hateful thoughts in people that it's a language of Britishers and we have to learn it forcefully. It's not like that. We are glad that they have left the language behind with us. They have been here, and this is one of the very few plus points of the colonization because English has provided us with a platform that we can communicate with the world today. And second point, sir, about your visit to France, it's very harsh when you are told this, but it's truth, and one must accept it that when you are visiting another country, there might be languages that you are not familiar with, and people might shut you down because their language is kind of religion to them, just like us. If we are in our hometown and we see our own family members not talking in our mother tongue, but conversing in any other language, in English or in any other language for that matter, we would feel the same. and French are very particular about that. And it has been portrayed in many movies and shows which are based in France. If you people might have watched it, there's one new show on, it's very out of the context, but as sir has pointed out about his visit, this new show is there on Netflix, Emily in Paris. It's about an American girl who is completely fluent in English and can be very challenging for the French people. But the thing is that she doesn't know French. She doesn't know how to speak in their language. So that becomes a challenge for her. And throughout all the episodes that are there till now, throughout that she has been facing all those challenges because she is not from France and she cannot speak in French. And that is something very harsh, but till today it is a truth about France also and Germany. So very well pointed out, sir. It's not just that English is a challenge for us, but English has been there for a while now, I can say. So, and majority of countries can tolerate your English. They are speaking in English. So we can focus upon that. And if you are visiting any such country with a different language, such as German or French, you must learn. Very well pointed out, sir. Another thing from Professor Banerjee, that in higher education that we should not focus on grammar teaching. Language should be taught in a natural way. Very well put out, sir. It is something that we need to focus on. When a teacher is teaching in a literature class, most of us who have a background of English language, they in a way or the other were related to the literature. They were either learning or have just read books for fun, but they have read literature, English literature. So they might feel that the manner in which they have learned in their college or in their school life or in their post graduation, the manner in which they have learned literature, the same kind of treatment should be given to the students in technical education for learning English language. That is what I'm going to point out in the next slides. It has been mentioned in my slide. So in a class, if we are talking about a machine, for example, I do not know much about science, so I'm giving very vague examples. But if you are teaching anything about a machine in your class, you are teaching mechanical students, you're talking about a machine, about any kind of a motor or a vehicle, you are talking about it, but you can build your lesson plan around a story. And that relates this particular thing, relates it to the same manner in which we have learned English literature. When we were being taught literature in our college, we were always and always told stories. Our professor would be like, I visited this place and it is so beautiful and it is like that. They have been to Westminster's Abbey. So whatever experiences they were putting out there, just like Sir Arun sir has said, so just like that, they were putting their experience in classroom, in their teaching, in their lesson plans, so that we do not forget it. So that we do not forget it. But here in technical education, the purpose, it differs from the one in the literature class. It differs because we are trying to teach English with the subject that we are, with the core subjects. So when you are teaching mechanical science, you can put a little bit of English there for a student to learn and for a student to focus on it in a subconscious manner. So when the student is not doing it consciously, it will not be a burden for them, and they can carry out the whole class. They can, throughout the whole class, they can focus on the topic, but will also learn a few things about English. They will also grasp all the words that you have put out there, any words that you have used in term of the connection to the motor or to any vehicle, whatever was the topic. If you're putting out new words out there in the classroom, they will catch those words, and these words will be feeded in their subconscious. That I can assure you. And if a student would like, they can go back to that. If they are emphasizing on learning English with their core subject, it will be really helpful. Another review was from Abhishikta ma'am, if I'm not wrong. So ma'am has pointed out that there are in BHU, they have started vernacular language classes. Yes, ma'am, in technical educations, they are focusing now. As far as the institutes which are just for language, like if you is a very great body for us. It's a very inspirational body for us because the scholars, the teachers, they are always and always working for language, and in a such manner that it becomes a science. It does not remain a subject of humanities, but it becomes a science, and therefore language has been a science since a long time. It has been acknowledged as science because it has been dissected. It has been made clear how a particular language has been formed, how it took shape, what is the shape right now, and how the sentences are deconstructed, and everything, every little bit of it is just like science. But a technical student does not need that kind of that kind of details. They do not need that. What is the primary focus should be, because we are talking about the students who are not coming from English medium background. We are talking about them also. And you cannot do it that you are in a class, you are teaching your core subject, and you can not just focus on teaching English to 50% of the class on the students who are not from English background, and 50% who are from English background will be bored by that if you are doing so. So you cannot do that in a technical classroom, in teaching your core subjects. But what can be done is easily easing it in with your subject so that the student doesn't know what has been taught. They get the concept, and they get to understand what kind of word should be used regarding this particular concept. If you are teaching, again, I'll go back to the motor example. If you are teaching about a motor, you are dissecting the parts. You are talking about this is this, this is this, this is the bolt which works, whatever. So when you are talking about that, technical jargon is there, always there, but the functioning of that bolt might require an actual English word, and there you can insert English, and the student will grasp it, and when required, they will easily communicate their thoughts regarding the concept. It will be very easy for them if we do not focus, or do not focus should be from our side, but they should not be aware that they are being taught in English, and they are being taught English regarding the concept. So that should not be done. It's very good initiative that the technical institutions are doing. It's very good that they are teaching vernaculars, and I think it should be carried out. And in future, more institutions should adopt it. It's a very good thing. But for a technical classroom, I think the challenges come in a core subject classroom. If an English language teacher is teaching, it's great. They'll only teach English. They do not have any other thing to teach about. But for a core subject teacher, the challenges are many. It rises because they have to teach in English. They have to teach a complex concept that should be comprehended by the learner. So it becomes a challenge. Now, when we talk about other things such as our own capacity, or our own the kind of memory that we have for words, for vocabulary, for fluency, for grammar, what kind of memory does a person have? So on an average, human brain can remember. That is just for a particular time. It's not for a lifetime you'll remember only 5,000 words, but the research shows that we can only remember 5,000 words at a time. Human brain can remember 5,000, and we need to focus on this, that these 5,000 words, meanwhile the student is learning in a technical institute, they are doing their degrees, 4-year course, 3 years course, or if it's a diploma or a PG course, then 2 years, 1 year, whatever. So that particular time frame, in that particular time frame, they must learn at least half of this, that is at least 2,500 words in relation to their technical subjects, their technical concepts, to move further in a successful manner. English is either a skill or a tool for scholars with science backgrounds. Again, for the core teachers, I'm referring it as a skill or a tool. It's nothing more than that, and therefore, as language teachers, we are making it become a skill or a tool. Our course designs are designed in such a manner that a person should know from noun to constructing sentences to transforming sentences to comprehending sentences. We have designed the syllabus in this manner only so that it becomes a skill of the student. It should not be referred to as another subject. It shouldn't be taught in a manner that it is another subject. It is intended to be skill, and I think it's very apt to treat it as a skill or a tool, because again, technical education has its own load of topics and concepts which are very complex to carry out and to learn. So meanwhile, when every teacher is teaching, every teacher of a core subject, they are teaching their subject, they should also, with the English teachers, they should also focus on trying to communicating in English. For us as teachers, it is very often a challenge if the student is not fluent in English. It can be also vice versa, and there's no, as Arun sir has put out, that there's no shame in it, but that if you are not familiar with the language, if you are not fluent in the language, you might be a lab technician, you might be a non-academic person who doesn't have to be acquainted with English as much as the teachers or the faculty members who are taking classes. But it is important for your own personality, for your own development. And if you are developing, of course, the group, the team, the institute that you are attached to will improve. If a non-academic person, a lab technician of a core subject, if they are, except for the language labs, but if they are acquainted with English, if they have enough knowledge, then it will bring out the quality of an institution. And there is, like there is no age for learning, there is no age for learning English too. You can begin at any point, just like students, without making a fuss about it. A student cannot know, and you are sliding in words, you are sliding in vocabulary, you are sliding in correct grammar pieces, bits of English in your core subject. Similarly, even you can fool yourself if you are not acquainted with English. If you are a person who has difficulty with English, you can do the same with yourself. You can fool yourselves in learning English. For learning English, you can do a few activities that can be very helpful for you in developing the kind of qualities, the kind of communicative competence that you need for today's. There is absolutely no shame if you do not know any particular language. It's not just English. If it's any language, because it's not something which comes with you when you're born. It's not like that. Everyone has to learn all the languages. Either it's your mother tongue, either it's your second language, either it's your third language, whatever number of language it is, it doesn't matter. You have to learn all the languages, and meanwhile, you grow. You do not stop. Your life does not stop for learning a particular language. So here, sir, I would like to have the first question for the poll.
put forward the poll, but it's already 5:04. So you decide,
Yes, sir.
like you have got so many polls. So which poll you would like to, like all the polls would you like to give, because it's 5:04 already.
Sir,
Anyway,
you
I
can
put
give
forward.
it in continuation.
Okay, so I'm giving the first, I'm just putting forward the first poll. I will go for 30 seconds today. Kindly answer within
Yes,
that.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it will be open for 30 seconds only today, because there are many polls. There are around 8 polls. So I will like to complete it within 3 minutes. Okay, so I will wait for 30 seconds today. Kindly vote within that. It's already 17 seconds, 19 seconds, 20 seconds. So we reached almost, okay, so we have reached 51% votes in 30 seconds. I close it and share the results. The results at 57% says yes, we are aware. Mostly aware says 34%, and 9% says not sure which language we are speaking in. Okay, so would you like to have any comment, or should I go to the next poll?
Yes, sir, you can go to the next poll. Meanwhile, I'll be talking. So, when we talk about not knowing the language, I meant that what type of English you are speaking. And for the people from language background, it is about the dialect. Are you aware of the dialect, that if you are speaking in any particular dialect or not? If you are speaking in Indian English, if you are speaking in European English, if you are taking up any kind of dialect from German English, or you are taking in a dialect from American English, Canadian English. So there are many different types of English, and every type or every dialect has different words, different vocabulary, different accents, but majority of it is the same. That means the grammar might change. In Australian and American English, it is disruptive grammar. According to Britishers, according to the people from UK, they think that American English does not have proper grammar and it shouldn't be treated as a language, but we treat it as a language, and all the softwares are making it us choose between either you are choosing a UK English or a US English. So for the standard, just the question was to point out that the standard English remains the English from UK, and it will always and always be the English from UK. And for the next poll, sir, you can put out the
So I
poll
have put
6
forward the next
directly.
poll. I put forward the next poll. Again, I will wait for 30 seconds. So kindly answer within that. Kindly answer within 30 seconds. I will not wait for 1 minute. I will just wait for 30 seconds, out of which 15 seconds are already gone. So I request all to vote within 30 seconds. So we have reached roughly 50% votes. It's 25 seconds. I'll wait for 5 more seconds. So it's almost there. Okay, so I close it. It's 53% voting, and 84% goes for second language, and 16% goes for third language.
Yes, sir. So it becomes our third language because, for example, if I'm giving my example for those of you who couldn't understand the second or the third language, it is like when I was born, I used to, the first language that I learned was my mother tongue, that is Rajasthani Braj. Okay, that was the language that I learned. After I went to school, I learned English and Hindi simultaneously. So English and Hindi, Hindi can be my second language and English can be my third language. Because of course, learning Hindi was easier for me because my parents speak Hindi. So this is the difference, and this is something that you need to keep in mind when you are treating the non-English medium background students. The students who are not from English medium background, they should be prioritized or categorized in this manner only. This is just for a language teacher that you can ask them. They are open about it in our classes that, ma'am, I am not from English medium background. I need to learn. What should I do? So this can be something that is a challenge. You have to figure out the second language, the third language, what is the number of the language that he or she has learned English in. Okay. Yes, sir. Sixth poll directly.
Okay, so I'm not going to the third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Okay, while teaching any topic, that one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have launched the third poll. So the question is very straightforward for a teacher. While teaching any language, just a minute. While teaching any topic, do you feel English troubles you? And you feel comfortable to switch to any other language? So this is the question. So straightforward question. So we have reached 20 seconds and I will wait for 8 more seconds, 22 seconds it is. So yes, I request all members to vote quickly. We are almost there. We have reached, okay, we have reached 50% votes in 30 seconds. I close it and I share the results. And as you can say, 39% says yes, sometimes it feels good to switch to other language. 52%
Yes.
says never, and 10% it usually hinders the process of communication.
Yes. So for all the technical subjects, for the teacher from technical background to teach core subjects, it might be not a problem from your side. You are well acquainted with English, but the student is not understanding or the class is not understanding. So what to do? Then you try to reduce the time taken in the classroom and you switch to other language. So this should not be done often. I'm not saying that it should be totally reduced, the number should be reduced, but the degree, the frequency of these kind of issues can be reduced. You cannot every time, you should not every time switch to other language. Try to focus on English and then making the concept clear to the student. If the student is trying to work hard, they will of course get the subject. Yes, sir, 7th and 8th poll.
Okay. So the last but one poll, I have launched it and I will wait for 30 seconds. So I request all members to vote very fast. I will wait for just 30 seconds. The question is, how would you like if you were asked only to teach in English? So will you find it comfortable? Will you find it merely comfortable? You will find it not comfortable? So that is the thing. In many cases, we do so in our group, but how would you like if you were asked only to teach in English? So we are almost there, 30 seconds gone. We have reached 53% votes. I close it now and I share the results, and you can see 86% people says, yes, I will feel comfortable if you are asked, if I am asked to teach only in English. Not comfortable
Yes,
says 4% and merely says 10%.
Yes, this question was to support the previous question that you have enough amount of English with you to provide the class the lesson, but the lecture should be comprehended by the students. So the problem stays on the side of the learner, not from our side. We are an English medium institution. We talk in English. We give our lectures in English. We try to always and always have a conversation in English. So we are doing our bit. But from the student side, because they think that it is not as important as the core subject, so they are not focusing on it. And a student who is in a first year and a student who is in fourth year, they might, when you check their English level, or when you check the fluency level, then you'll see that they might be similar in terms of English. Other subjects, other knowledge is developed. They have learned so many things from us, but they are unable to go away with a package of English learning knowledge with them, in which they can communicate with the people. So these are a few points that you might take up in your class to make it easy with English, your lectures, how you can improve them. These are a few points. I'm not going to talk about them. You can note these down because it's already, I've taken too much of your time today. A few points for your own general
last poll? Last poll is not needed?
Yes, sir. Last poll. Sure, sir.
Okay, so I've launched it. This is only about agreeing and disagreeing. So do you think all these points are relatable for your students too? So how many of you agree and how many of you disagrees? So we have reached around 44% votes in 15 seconds. I'll request all members to vote quickly. We are in the 20th second. I request all members to vote at your earliest. We have reached 27 seconds. I'm going to close it now. 30 seconds reached with 55% votes. I share the results. and agrees 96%, disagrees 4%. So 96% says yes, points are relatable for students too.
Yes, sir. So these are a few points that we can focus on when we are giving students the knowledge of our subject, the best of our knowledge in the classroom. We can also focus on English. And if you are someone who has any kind of difficulty with English, you can be someone from non-academic staff, you can be someone who is totally not related to English, who does not have to have that quality to give their services to the institution, but still you can develop so that the team or the institute that you are attached to grows with you. It will always be a plus point if you are acquainted with more knowledge of today's world, with more knowledge of English. And on that note, I would like to end my discussion. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Thank you so much, PC sir, for helping me out throughout the meeting. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. There are a few points written down in the questions box. I will quickly read those out to end it. Professor Prabir Kumar Das has added, proper communication in English gives additional confidence to the individuals in social, technical, and all other domains, locally and globally as well. That is what is written by Professor Prabir Kumar Das. Professor Arun Kumar Chatterjee has added, saying French and German grammar is pretty tough. Yes. So Gurudas Bardhan sir says English is a noble language and anyone can accept this. Okay. Professor Shashwati Bormon madam writes, I think grammar is very important for science students. The meaning changes totally if the grammar is wrong. Student and teacher both should communicate in correct English. People can learn English easily even if they are not taught in English medium schools. Listening to BBC and CNN improves English significantly. Students can learn it on their own. I take those points, madam. It's very important that you have written.
Yes, sir.
There is again something written by Professor Shubhabrata Sengupta. Let me read it out. It's from the horse's mouth, I believe, because Professor Shubhabrata Sengupta is totally attached with placement cells, so he knows that how a good placement can be done. And he has been there for maybe 10 years. I said it less, maybe more than that, 12, 13 years. So let me read this out, what he has written. Students must know this myth in a clear note that you may love English, you may not love English, but under any circumstances, you cannot ignore English. If you want to survive in future, you have to be very good in communicative English. Communicative English will be the lifeline with very good technical knowledge. They must remember that all technical concepts answers will have to be given in English. English and technical knowledges must be synchronized with all due respect and sentiment to our mother tongue. We have to admit that in global platforms, English will be the only communication medium. Okay, so thank you, Professor Sengupta. Okay, Professor Srimanandi says, okay, English is not English anymore. It has become Englishes, and MS Word also does not mark it as wrong, says Professor Abhishekta Bhattacharjee. Okay, interesting. Srimanandi madam, okay, she could not see the poll. Anyway, okay, any other questions? Okay, no, these are the questions. Thank you.
Okay, as sir has pointed out that it has to be taken throughout the education. It has to be taken hand in hand with the technical education. One more thing, the last point of this slide is very important for all of us who face some kind of difficulties in talking in English or in communicating, or they want to improve their English. They have ample of knowledge, but they still want to go hand in hand with the world. Please try to make it all about English. Whatever activities you are doing on your digital screen, either it's your television, tablets, or mobile phones, try to watch things in English, try to read in English, and try to focus on the topic. If you are trying to focus on learning English, it will become monotonous for you. It will be very boring for you. But if you are trying to get into the details of a movie, for example, you're watching a movie, let's say you are watching a series, Sherlock. It has very good use of English in it. I would recommend it. The actor is Benedict Cumberbatch. So not the previous Sherlock, but this one, it has great amount of words for you, new words for you to learn and explore the meaning for. So these are the things that you can do on daily basis to improve your English, and suggest the same to the students who have difficulty. So thank you so much for all your valuable ideas. I'm really grateful to have this talk with you, to have this discussion with you all, and to share my ideas, to get a feedback from you all. It was very overwhelming. Thank you so much. I'll thank again our Vice Chancellor, sir. Thank you so much for giving
Thank
me
you,
this
madam.
opportunity and being there.
Thanks to all IEM and UEM family members. Thank you. It was a nice discussion. Thank you. It was a very good session. Thank you.